What if Jon Snow had actually taken the Iron Throne at the end of Game of Thrones? In the final season, Jon Snow ultimately chose his honor and loyalty to Daenerys Targaryen over the throne, and in the end, Daenerys herself was the one to face the consequences of her actions. But what if Jon had claimed the throne for himself instead? What if Jon Snow, who was born as the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, had taken his birthright and ruled the Seven Kingdoms? In this video, we're diving into that very possibility. What would Jon Snow's reign have looked like? Would he have ruled Westeros justly, bringing peace and stability, or would the political landscape of the Seven Kingdoms have torn him apart? Let's explore the world where Jon Snow becomes the king of Westeros and see how the future unfolds. The first and most important question is, how would Jon Snow even ascend to the throne? After the fall of Daenerys, Jon would have had to claim the throne not just by blood, but through the support of the Lords of Westeros. Jon, being the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, would have had a legitimate claim to the throne. However, that doesn't mean the Lords of the Realm would immediately accept him as king. Jon wasn't raised as a noble, he was raised as a Stark of Winterfell, with a deep sense of honor and loyalty, but not necessarily with the ambition to rule. Would he have wanted to take the throne in the first place? Jon had always been someone who sought a life of purpose over power, but circumstances in King's Landing and the political climate in Westeros might have forced his hand. The lords and ladies of Westeros would have made their support known, or not, and Jon would have to navigate a web of alliances, power struggles, and betrayals in order to establish his rule. The question of whether Jon Snow wanted the throne or not would have loomed large, as he was never one for the ambitions of kingship. Assuming Jon took the throne, what kind of king would he be? One of Jon's most defining characteristics is his sense of honor and duty, both as a leader and a warrior. As king, these traits would have translated into a just and fair reign, but with significant challenges. Jon would have been a king committed to making difficult decisions, but he would also have faced immense pressure from those around him. The power structures in Westeros would have been reluctant to accept a king who wasn't from a noble house, and his decisions on how to handle dissent, both in the north and the south, would have shaped his reign. Jon would have been a ruler who genuinely cared about the welfare of his people, unlike many of his predecessors. His leadership would have been rooted in his belief that power should be used to serve others, rather than to increase the wealth or influence of the elite. However, this approach could have made him vulnerable to political manipulation and scheming from other powerful houses like the Lannisters, the Tyrells, or the Martells. One of Jon's biggest challenges as king would have been the unity of the Seven Kingdoms. Following the wars, the North was already independent, and many of the other regions were fractured after years of conflict. Jon would have needed to carefully manage these divisions. Sansa Stark's role in the North, for instance, would have been critical. Would she have supported Jon's claim, or would she have attempted to maintain the North's independence? Jon would also face opposition from the Lords of Westeros, especially those who had a vested interest in the status quo. With Daenerys' death leaving the realm in turmoil, the political game would have become more complex than ever, and Jon would have had to rely heavily on counselors like Tyrion Lannister and Varys to navigate the chaos. But Jon Snow wasn't a politician, and that would have made him a wild card in the Game of Thrones. Would he have been able to unite the Seven Kingdoms and bring them into a new era of peace and cooperation? Or would he have struggled under the weight of a divided realm? Another crucial aspect of Jon's reign would have been his relationship with Daenerys' legacy. After Daenerys' brutal death and the devastation she caused in King's Landing, Jon would have had to contend with the aftermath of her destructive path. How would he manage the loyalists who still supported Daenerys? Would he have been able to forgive her for her actions and take her supporters under his wing? Additionally, Jon would have had to reckon with the public perception of Daenerys as the Mad Queen. Would Jon have been able to restore hope to the realm? Or would the lingering bitterness toward Daenerys' actions have divided Westeros even more? Jon was a man of honor, but his conflict with Daenerys would have left him with a deep sense of guilt. Would he be able to overcome that burden and truly lead Westeros to prosperity? Ruling Westeros is no easy task, and Jon Snow would have faced numerous challenges on the throne. Not only would he have to manage internal dissent, but external threats like the Ironborn, the White Walkers, and the Dothraki would remain. In addition, Jon would have had to manage the noble houses, whose power was still vast and complex. Would he face rebellion from within the Lannister family, as well as from other houses who sought to increase their own power? Or would Jon prove to be a ruler who could keep the peace among the great houses? bridging the gap between Westeros' fractured factions? Another major challenge would have been the role of the Night's Watch. The White Walkers had been defeated, but the Night King's legacy would linger. Would Jon still see the Night's Watch as a necessary institution, or would he have done away with it entirely? Ultimately, what would Jon Snow's legacy be? Would he be remembered as a just king who united the Seven Kingdoms, bringing peace after years of war? Or would he have faced the same fate as many kings before him, betrayed, isolated, and overthrown by those he trusted most? We know that Jon Snow has the heart of a leader, but leadership comes with great cost. Would Jon be able to maintain his integrity and follow the path of justice, or would the pressures of ruling ultimately break him? Would he have passed the throne to someone else as a martyr for the cause of peace? Or would he have lived to see Westeros' future through his rule? Jon's reign would have been marked by sacrifice and honor, but whether he would have been able to break the cycle of violence and political intrigue that has plagued Westeros for centuries is another question entirely. At the end of the day, Jon Snow sitting on the Iron Throne would have meant a new chapter for Westeros. It's hard to say whether his rule would have been peaceful or whether the political landscape would have torn him apart. But one thing is clear, Jon Snow had the potential to lead Westeros toward a brighter future, if only the Game of Thrones allowed for honor and compassion to thrive. What do you think? Would Jon Snow have made a good king? Could he have brought peace to Westeros? Or would he have fallen like so many before him? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Game of Thrones theories and alternate endings.